Right, on loose lines is back, and he is back, and there's no Melbourne helmet, no Melbourne hat. Daniel Hibberd, hello, my friend.
Hello, Paul. Good to be with you again. Yes, I haven't worn them. I've followed your lead wearing these bloody Peaky Blinders hats, and yeah, it's quite comfortable. And but I probably need to get a couple more in the wardrobe. So we'll might get them for Christmas. But no, these are comfortable hats, and the Melbourne ones just still there, but having a rest.
Very, very good. It might have a 12-month siesta. Right, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter now. So if you are watching on Twitter, and we've got a pretty big show planned without any of our unscripted stuff, Daniel. So that's a pretty cool thing as well. So we've got a couple of people already watching on Twitter. I'd love for someone to type me a message on Twitter. If you got a chance, send us through a message and we can go from there. I did actually have a near catastrophe. I had my web camera didn't work. Then I sent Daniel the wrong link. So everything's working pretty well, Daniel. Like it's a pretty normal show, mate.
It's like nothing's ever changed. It's always the same. So organized chaos.
Yep. Now, anyone wants to, by all means, send through the comments. We don't have any comments now, but we want people to get involved. We will talk about anything tonight. Paul Humphreys is on there. Hello, Paulie. Good to see you, father of a fellow race caller. So it's always good to have Paulie on. He's a great man. We're going to have Grant Campbell come on in a minute, younger brother of myself. He will be joining us to talk about Unite for Hope, which is a thing there for him. Daniel Hibberd's watching, which is always good. Your mum's not on yet, though, Daniel. That's one of those things we have to work on.
She'll be there somewhere eventually.
So yeah, and Unite for Hope, and then of course Cody Winnell with the Harness Charity challenge, Harness Charity Challenge. It's a bit of a mouthful. I was going to get Pogger on, and then I saw Codes has got him. He's also got his own podcast, so he'll be on at about 6:30. Cody Winnell will. So we'll be talking about the Harness Charity plus anything. He said to me, he basically said, "Oh, happy to talk about horses, what you've seen." I should read the rest of the text to you, Daniel. It was pretty in depth. I'm like, man, does he realise how unscripted and unorganised I am when it comes here? Love of the industry, social media, the importance of coverage, the discussion, harness racing, ownership, Pacesetters, the charity challenge, etc. I'm an open book. We're going to open him up anyway, so it doesn't matter. He's just opened himself up for a can of worms, hasn't he?
We'll be going for about 3 or 4 hours the way it's travelling.
We will indeed. Rightio. I didn't have this page up and ready to go, which is, as Daniel's more than happy to be aware that would be the case. That's the one I'm after. Just after the Trots Challenge page. Now, we can bring anything up as we go through these things. I've just got to see. I'm not sure exactly. This could go a little bit pear-shaped for a second. No, we're right. The long trot. You can see the banner there on top. Go to thetrots.com. Click on the long trot just there, and you'll be able to take them to a link for the long trot. This is the HRV employees, and get behind and support us in our challenge for going through there. I'm up to running 72 Ks for the month of September. That's actually not right, Daniel, that little figure there. I've got to take 10 Ks off. I'm not sure what's happened there, but I'm not going to cheat myself. I'm going to go and make sure I do it properly. So I've got 12 Ks to go. David Miles, he's on. He could do a challenge. He could do with a run or two. He's going okay driving horses. He could tighten the girth up a little bit. Wouldn't hurt him one bit at all. So going from there. But please click on the long trot. It's a great cause. I actually said in the where's that button? I've got buttons going everywhere. I actually did say I was going to get my prostate blood test done, and it came back today. I went and got the doctor's reports today, and it's all good. I actually got a clean bill of health, which is really, really cool. So I got the doctor give me a bit of a rap. But please, it's a very, very important part for men of any age. I've had so many people come to us. So many leading trainers and drivers would be meeting a gentleman who has recently been diagnosed, and he's a little bit unsure about the whole thing. People would not be aware who is affected and who's not affected. So we want everyone to get behind the long trot and raising awareness for prostate. It's not too late to donate. Go to prostate cancer, go from there. The goal's 5,000. There's only 640. That is only the money raised through the people running and going through there. So I'm not 100% sure about the why that it's not updated with the drivers, but of course the drivers donate $250 every time they go around as well. I threw to you and you weren't ready for me, or you had nothing to offer, did you?
I wasn't ready.
It's nothing unusual. There is nothing unusual. We'll touch on the Unite charity with Grant and Kez, going forward in a minute. And we'll also touch on the others with Cody, and we're going to be covering off on quite a few there with Cody Winnell. We'll get the little brother on, Daniel, so that we can get the message out there. Of course, I don't know if you're aware of it, Daniel, or the charity and what's behind it. I mean, Grant, Kath McIntosh, Kez, so many people have done an enormous job. Oh, you're kidding me. Why is that not working? Daniel's laughing again, aren't you, mate? The ever organised P. Campbell is away. So
is your phone flat?
No, it's not on Bluetooth. Granny, are you there? Granny is there.
Yes, I am. Oh, yeah.
Hello. Sorry, mate. For some reason, it wasn't connected to my Bluetooth. But thank you very much for joining myself and Daniel. He was
my pleasure. Hello, Dan.
He was.
G'day, Grant. How are you?
He was of the opinion. He was of the opinion that my phone might have been flat. So, which is fair comment. It's the way things have been going tonight.
Well, I have spent a bit of time with you in the past, Paulie, and it wouldn't be the first time.
No, it's a little bit frustrating, that's for sure. Grano, we want to raise awareness. We don't want to give me a hard time. We want to raise awareness for just trying to make sure. Yep, good to go now. I just want to get those bars going. Up there for another fundraiser that yourself and I will be doing very, very shortly, and a couple other people are involved, and we want to make sure people are aware how to get involved. But firstly, Hope Unite, a little bit of the backstory, if you like, for it.
Yeah, Unite for Hope. You went too far off, but that's okay. We know the unscripted part of this show, so that's fine. Yeah, so the Unite for Hope is a fun run and a charity event that is run by the Pancare Foundation. And so a little bit of background on the Pancare Foundation. They are an organisation that support people with upper gastrointestinal cancers. If I read a little bit here, just to give you a quick spiel on it, the Pancare Foundation are the leading charity committed to inspiring hope, raising awareness, supporting families, funding research for upper gastrointestinal cancers with some of the lowest survival rates out of all the major cancers. It's our mission to improve survival and support for Australians diagnosed with pancreatic, liver, stomach, biliary and esophageal cancers. We provide support for people living with cancer and their families from the point of diagnosis through to treatment and beyond. We also fund world-leading research to increase survival and improve treatment options. So a little bit of a background there on what Pancare actually do. And the Unite for Hope Fun Run is just another way that they raise funds. They have 3 runs each year. I'm sure there are plenty more events and that they do. This is just something that I saw and wanted to get involved in. And so they've already had an event in Brisbane and an event in Sydney, and Melbourne is the last one on their calendar for this year. And so, yeah, on October the 6th at Princess Park in Melbourne, I managed to find that. I couldn't find that anywhere. It starts at 9 a.m. There is there's either a walk, you can walk 5Ks or 10Ks, or run 10Ks, as you and I are going to be doing.
And a couple other people, I believe, as well. You can go to, just type in Unite for Hope. You can put all the W's and you can shorten it up. But if you type in, I just typed in Unite for Hope into that search bar, and it brought it up there. And there's plenty of ways people can get involved. But yeah, as you said there, Melbourne on the 6th of October around Princess Park. And what we want people to do, Granny, we want people to donate, sponsor, get behind us. And there's a way that people can do that. We'll get that part up in a minute as well. But they also can take part. It's not you and I by any stretch, and it's not just restricted to people who we know. We want people to run under that harness banner if we can.
Yeah, that's right. So we've created a team, and if anyone that's sort of listening does want to, donate or compete, it'd be awesome if they actually could do it under our team, because it'll, we'd also like to give a little bit of notoriety to the harness racing community for what we do. I think, harness racing does a pretty awesome job at all the fundraising that they do, whether it be, they're pacing for pink or the teal pants. They do a great job, and we're just asking them to maybe look at this and donate a little bit more. So if they could, obviously you've posted the links, I've posted the links on Facebook, and hopefully maybe we can get them out there again. But if they look for the Harnessing for Hope team, if you follow that link, you can do one of two things. You can just donate, and that'll come up as a bigger team, amount for us. Or if you want, you can actually join the team. Obviously, we've got Jess Tubbs and Desiree have joined us so far, and we want plenty more. Hopefully people might be able to find, even if it's just the smallest amount, it can make a massive difference to the people that are suffering some of these, insidious diseases. And it'd be really nice. As I'm on the page right now, they've got the top fundraisers listed. And top teams. It'd be really awesome if we could get the Harnessing Hope team up on the leaderboard. So that's a challenge that I'd like to throw out there to everyone.
Very, very good. I'm just trying to work out how to find the team. Search for a team. Right. Okay. So hang on. I've got to go back a step. Sorry, because I've got to push too many buttons. But basically, this is the homepage here. Go to donate. And then follow it down, and it says make a general donation or search for a team. And we are what, Granny? Harnessing
Hope.
All one word or two words?
2 words.
Oops.
2 words. If anyone's having trouble with that, if they just go to my Facebook page or yours or Northern Rivers, you'll find a post, and on the post there is a link, and if you click on the link, it takes you straight to our page. But there you go. That's you're getting there. I'm watching the iPad as you're doing that.
So
it obviously comes up.
It comes up as Grant Campbell, but if you type in Harnessing Hope, it comes up as well. So it's one of two ways.
And as you can see down there, the Harnessing Hope team's already got $850 donated to it, and a big chunk of that is through Jess, and her mum made a very lovely donation. So that's awesome. We're hoping that we can get some more. Obviously, that shows that Desiree's there. And we'd love to get a lot more people on that page to turn up and come for the run with us. And, obviously limber up and get a bit of movement in themselves is always a good thing.
Yeah, that part worries me, but that's okay. It's not a race, is it, Granny? That's for sure.
Definitely not a race. I told Jess it's not a race. We'll be fine.
We're very worried, Daniel. I reckon it's going to be extremely competitive, unfortunately, for the three of us. That's the biggest worry.
Anytime you're involved will be competitive.
He's worse.
He's worse. Oh, right.
I'm not.
Yes, you are. But that's okay. I don't know, Daniel, if you've actually seen a Lifetime for Living is a horse that is donating. This is so many people that have got behind this grant in quite a unique way. As I said, I'm raising awareness at the minute for prostate cancer. It's one of the things, and we'll touch on it with Cody as well in a minute. Either you guys can answer this question. I think harness racing just does an amazing job, and we don't get any recognition for it. We don't chase it for recognition either. But the industry, we do so many great things. I think for so many of these charities out there, and this is another one. But the amount of donations that's happened behind the scenes already with this horse, A Lifetime for Living, has been unbelievable, Grano.
Yeah, it has. Obviously, Cass started the ball rolling. Sadly, she lost her dad to liver cancer, and she then looked into, what foundations support people along the way with these terrible diseases, and she found Pancare, and it's pretty well sort of out there that she started the ball rolling with the sale of a couple of horses a few years ago, and obviously A Lifetime for Living, or more affectionately known as Alice, we purchased her, and a syndicate of people sort of brought her, and Kath brought into her, and quite a few other well-known people, and they're a great group of people, and we're using her as a platform to get the message out there. And one of her part owners, Sharon Ralph, does an amazing job with selling. She's got a lot of some of the merchandise from Pancare, and she has that with her, and she sells it. She sits down the street in our some mornings, and just gets people who walk by. And she obviously had the rug, the beautiful rug that was made for her to obviously spread the message a little bit more. She organised that. She got sponsorship from the Ararat RSL, and we appreciate that greatly. And I honestly, I look forward to when Alice races and we get to take the rug out and put it straight on her. It's the first thing I do when she goes to the races. It's a beautiful rug. She's a beautiful horse, and it's a beautiful story. So, hopefully we can get more people to jump on board.
And she should win a race shortly. She's been a little bit unlucky. She was unlucky first up.
She was. Look, she's actually, I think if you went back and looked at her form, it's actually really, really strong form. She had no luck at all in the Vic Bred final. I thought I pulled the wrong rein, and then I watched the replay, and it probably wouldn't have mattered which rein I pulled. I was following the wrong horses, but that was a very hard race. Hopefully she'll probably have one more run and then she'll go to the paddock. And we're really hoping that there's a couple of maidens coming up. So we're hoping after that next start that she's no longer a maiden.
Yep, which would be ideal. Daniel, we do an awesome job, don't we, as an industry?
Oh, we punch above our weight. Like, it's ridiculous how much, particularly when you look at the contribution from Pink Day. I mean, that's probably the one that most people sort of resonate with, and to a degree also, and probably not too far behind it, is the Teal campaign also. So the industry does a hell of a lot for the size of it, and for what gets donated to the respective charities is, I guess, pro rata. It's ridiculous. So we do an amazing job. The industry's so generous when it comes to basically anything. I mean, it can be these sort of things, these charitable situations, or it might be someone who's had a fire or an accident or anything like that. I mean, it's crazy how much support comes from such a relatively small industry.
Yeah. Granny, I gather you would agree with that too. Like, you've seen a lot of the Team Teal, especially like with Karen there, the Teal pants. But it's not just wearing the Teal pants; it's what they do as an ambassadorship right through.
Oh, it is, and echo exactly what Dan said about we bat well above our weight, and that's obviously there's some extremely passionate people get behind these things and they do an amazing job. But I think it sort of shows the harness racing community are pretty giving people. They're soul of the earth people, most of them. There's a lot of people in harness racing that don't have big money, but they'll always find something for these charities and these great fundraising events and causes. And, when you've got guys like Duncan McPherson who go so far out of their way and, they put their hand in their pocket a lot. The amount of money that it would cost to get all those Teal pants out to those girls, and that when that happens, and it just gets, they've just originally, I think it just started in Victoria, I think, and then they pushed it out Australia wide, and then they've gone as far as New Zealand, and that'd be a big expense for them. But they, you don't see a girl go around without them. There might be one or two girls that only have one or two drives for the month, and they have the Teal pants on, and then obviously it's flowed on to the pink pants. And obviously the pink cause has had massive exposure through Glenn McGrath and the test and all of that. So it had a pretty good sort of kickoff. And we're hoping that we can start that ball rolling a little bit with Pancare. But, I don't want to throw stones, but you watch the thoroughbred racing and you never really seem to see a lot of this, and that industry runs with a lot more money through it than what harness racing does. Yet I think if it was worked out on pro rata, I think we'd be, like Dan said, batting well above our average.
Daniel, I think the greyhounds, they do quite a few. I think for the month of May, it's the pink dog, but there's also a time when it's the 4 dog. They do quite a few of those where the number is.
And also the big one is actually coming up really soon, actually, the Great Chase series, which is a lot of they run heats across most of the provincials and the meadows, and all of the dogs that are entered, charitable organisations around those clubs like Shep, Bendigo, those places. They can nominate, and then they get selected with a dog. And if the dog actually goes all the way through and wins the final of the Great Chase, which is a Group 3 race, they get a donation at the back end as well. So it's a really good concept. I think there was something very similar in the Gallops on Saturday with the Foundation Cup, I think, which was a race where there was all different saddlecloths and all different charitable organisations affiliated to that. So yeah, it's it's all three codes can do it. We as I say, we sort of just seem to do it on a scale that probably defies logic at times. Well, how good we sort of we do put work really hard with a certain cause. Yeah, the greyhounds do have a real crack at it as well.
Granny, just for people that want to get involved, again, we'll let you go because this show sometimes goes forever. But if people want to get involved, I've got the banner up the top there. You go to melbourne.pancareunite4hope.com.au and then follow that to Harnessing Hope. But as I said, just go to Pancare. We'll just type in Unite for Hope, actually, and it'll come up. That way is as easy as anything. If people want to join our team, Grano, they can do that.
Absolutely. If you follow the link, I've actually just posted it on and tagged Campbell's comments in. So if anyone is listening and would like to find it, if they find that post, you just simply click on the link and it does all the hard work for you. And then, yeah, you've got two options there. You can donate from that page, or you can join the team. If you want a little bit of exercise and want to give $40 to the cause, then join the team and come along and come for a stroll on, the 6th of October at 9 a.m. The weather's getting better. It's the people will be happy. It's on a nice flat walking track. Basically, we do 2 laps for the 10K run. So I'll be cracking the whip at you when we get to the point where we've got to go around and do another lap. But, let's hope we're cracking the whip at quite a few people.
Nothing competitive here, Daniel, that's for sure. So it'll be fine.
He won't get fined for cracking the whip.
No, it'll be encouraged. It will well and truly be encouraged. Granny, thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. Look forward to the challenge as well. And if anyone's wondering, the bloody cat set on the computer, don't forget you can get involved with this show via the comments. So send any comments through. We'll answer those as well. So please get involved. But, I just had a major issue. The cat decided to go to sleep on my computer. So the joys of batching here at the minute, I've got to do the whole lot. So, Grano, just very, very quickly, and I was meant, Daniel, sorry, I'm going to be a little bit self-indulgent. My little girl has been up at the Pony Club Nationals, and I believe she's finished 3rd in her class with a little filly. So pretty big achievement. I'm a very proud dad, and I reckon Grano would be a pretty proud uncle as well because and he does a bit more behind the scenes. He has to shoe one of them or both of them. One of them's a little bit tricky to shoe, so it's a pretty big achievement, Grano.
Yeah, very happy. Yeah, obviously was there a day or two before Holly and Marie set off and had to put some fresh shoes on the 2 mares. And it's awesome to hear that she's had a great event with Lily, and hopefully she's learned a bit with Storm and, can sort of get better and better. But, yeah, it's a great feather in her cap. And obviously it sounds with the chat that we had earlier, there's some tiny little bit of controversy. It's not just on a racetrack. It can be in the eventing arenas as well. So there's a learning curve for her as well. That'll only stand her well in the test of time. So that's awesome.
Oh, it is a school of hard knocks. Your question, I think sometimes we look at our own sport and we get a bit frustrated, but I think we need to really have a good look around. Brad Steele, thank you very much. $40 on its way. Champion, of course, he is the CEO of Harness Racing New Zealand, but thank you very much, Brad, for that kind donation. That is exactly what we're after, mate. So really do appreciate that, which is pretty cool, Granny. It'd be interesting, actually. He's got an Australian account. I'd be wondering if it's a New Zealand account or an Australian account, whether it's $40 or $36 or something like that, but that's okay.
No, knowing Brad, there's probably a Cayman account as well, but we probably shouldn't go there. But
he listens and watches to everything. Don't you worry about that. So yeah,
tell him to donate from that one. It'll be a bit more than 40, I reckon.
There goes your trip to New Zealand, Brad. I'm still being nice to you, Brad. So don't forget me. It'll be fine. And thank you very much, Alexander Hurley. So yeah, very, very proud. Third best rider in Australia in that class. I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, very happy result. Granny, thank you very much, mate. I will let you go. I'll stop being self-indulgent, but really appreciate the time, buddy.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Paul. And yeah, just ask that anyone that if they had any spare change, if they can just head to that cause, it'd be awesome.
Nah, good as gold. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. See you, mate. See you, Dan.
See you, Bob. See you, Grant.
Pretty quiet little chat, that one, Daniel. I think last time we had Grant on, we ended up talking about cooking food and the whole box and dice, mate. Hey?
Geez, you've got a bloody good memory. I do remember that, but geez, that's a long time ago now.
He sent in some food pictures and stuff along those lines. So yeah, going from there, mate. With just while we are on the charities, and I am going to get to Cody in a sec. I didn't put this one on here, but the guys in New Zealand have really embraced Blue September, and they get right behind it. Go to the Harness Racing New Zealand Facebook page. Turn the volume up on this. It's very, very funny. The three boys have got right behind it. Matty Cross, Matt Markham, and I'm sorry, I forgot the other gentleman's name. There's commentary involved with it at all, but they call it the Blue Bolt. It's the second running of the Blue Bolt. The gentleman out wide, his name's Rory McKillick. Now, I'm not sure exactly how hard he is actually trying through the middle there. Rory won it last year. There has apparently been a steward's inquiry into it, but Zev Meredith won the race, and the boys had a little bit of fun. They dress up in the blue. They wear the blue pants, and I think it's absolutely sensational what they do, and getting in behind it. You can see they all dress up. A couple of little stewards' inquiries into a few things, but go to the Harness Racing New Zealand Facebook page, Harness Racing New Zealand Facebook page, and Emily's put that up there. It's terrific. They're doing an awesome job. I don't know if I can get it. I'll try and get it in a second. Their actual total over there, they're trying to raise 50,000. Actually, Brad's on. Brad will be able to tell me where they're up to at the minute if I can't find it on the Facebook page. But well done to the guys in New Zealand for everything they do. What they do, mate, the drivers have to go out and get their own. They don't have to. They go out there and get their own sponsors, and those sponsors donate every time they win a race. It's just a unique way of doing it, and you can see how much pride they take in it. And I believe Zev's sponsors said if he wins that race, they'll donate whatever they donate for that at the minute. So 33,000 so far. Yeah. They're trying to raise the 50, and I'm sure there'll be a few people get behind them. So well done to the team at New Zealand. I think it's an awesome job.
Yeah, and by the sounds of it, they'll get the 50 pretty easy, you'd hope. So it's there you go again. It's just the willingness of people in the industry, whether it's here or over the ditch, they're prepared to to work hard for a good cause and get good results.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to shut that down because I reckon it was messing with me internet. I had a little bit of a glitch there, so I won't go to the Facebook page. But yeah, I encourage people to go there, and there's plenty. They jumped out of a plane, the boys. Robbie Close, Blair Orange, and Johnny Cox jumped out of a plane. And I will say, actually, one of the people that have donated to
parachutes.
Yeah, they did as high as you can too, high as you can in the Southern Hemisphere. So yeah, you can't jump any higher than what they did. So no, they had a little bit of fun. Pinseeker actually donated to my run with the for the prostate cancer, and that is actually Johnny Cox and Kimberly Butt, Anthony Butt's daughter. They've got a good horse called Pinseeker. He's going to be, he'll make his way to the New Zealand New Zealand Trotting Cup, which is an irony in a way. But he will be, and he's a really up-and-coming horse, but they donated themselves as well to my cause, which I think were our cause over here. So I think it's an outstanding effort, and well done to those guys. So going from there. Might stay on New Zealand, Daniel. We did not do any of this to start off with. The road to the New Zealand Cup and the Dominion Handicap, I actually can't get those. I'm not going to get those up. I was going to get them up. I can't actually get those up, but they do an awesome job of promoting the industry. Of course, here in Victoria, we've currently got 18,000 feet. That's what they jumped. So, yeah. Not up for it, mate?
No.
They, which is, and that's as high as you can jump anywhere in the Southern Hemisphere. So it's not a New Zealand only thing. It's anywhere. It was quite cool because the North Island's so narrow. I think at one stage, I think it's either 400 meters. It's either 400 meters or a kilometer or something like that at its narrowest, and you can actually see it when you're watching the guys jump out of the plane. It's ridiculous. there was a race on the weekend called the DG Jones. Or I don't want to do that. It's actually going to play it. I'm hitting the wrong buttons here, Daniel. Now how do I get out of it?
You're dangerous with buttons. I hope you haven't got nuclear codes.
Mr. Love actually won the race, but I'm a big fan of Benny Hope. He's been on our show quite regularly, on a couple of my shows, and he's a terrific young man, and he's very, very passionate, and I'm not going to begrudge him one bit. But, of course, the DG Jones is the Derek Jones Trotters Cup. You get an invite into the Dominion, I think, or if not, it helps to your points anyway, going from there. But, of course, Kimberly Butt, being Anthony Butt's daughter, is a granddaughter of Derek Jones. But the irony of it all, her horse was actually trained by Derek Jones, who is also a nephew of Derek Jones, to make things a wee bit confusing. So Derek and his brother's name escapes me right at the minute, they decided they would name their children after their brothers. So they both had boys. So imagine Christmas and all the rest. But anyway, but Mr. Love got...
It's not even like Junior. You can't call him Derek Junior or anything like that.
No, it's the Outlaw or something like that, I think. But they beat him a short half head. Go back and watch the race. Great race, great lot of racing on the weekend, and it's one of those meetings. So there's so many meetings to go to in New Zealand, but I can tell you now, Banks Peninsula, any of those grass track meetings are outstanding, and it's so well done. The guys there doing Orphan Job Method as well is another great race meeting. So it's a terrific place to go and be a part of it. And then B-Tastic won the $120,000 size stakes at Auckland on the Saturday night, and it was a brilliant race, being by Bettor's Delight. But well done. I was talking to Martin Pearson. Pays to be signed up over there. Daniel, you can pay up late for the size stakes. These guys won a race where they got a bit of extra money. Oh, the first win bonus through Entame. I think they get $12,000. So they put $7,000 of that 12 into their size stakes. They picked up a cool $51,000 on Saturday night, and they can go into a $200,000 race on Cup Week. So pretty cool story, that B-Tastic.
It's probably not a bad option. So I mean, from a Vic Bred point of view, I mean, you sort of pay up really early on, but I guess if you're sort of a bit reluctant to do it, if you've got that option to pay up to go into a series very late, I think you should be able to at least have that option. It's you've certainly got to pay a bit more. You got to pay the if you don't get it on the cheap as you would when they're first born, sort of thing. But it certainly would be a nice option to potentially have. Not that I reckon there'd be too many that sort of hold off on taking up their Vic Bred.
I think the way our Vic Bred works here is awesome, and I know the Kiwis are possibly a little bit jealous of it, but there is definitely plus sides. I'm just going to give my sponsors a quick wrap with this Woodland Stud. B-Tastic, of course, was being by Bettor's Delight, but Seaside, Lather Up, Sweet Lou, What the Hill, and American Ideal all had winners over the weekend. There is their full list of stallions there at the minute. And, that's a wrong button. And then also the team at Harassa Trotters. Now, there is one caveat on this. Back of the Neck is not available. His frozen semen is not available in the NZ. So you'll see that there. And then, of course, they also announced that On a Streak will be standing at Waimea Farms over there as well. So pretty cool stuff happening for the guys in New Zealand, as well as for another choice of a fresh stallion On a Streak coming over there. Of course, Breeders' Crown winner going back a few years ago now. And then the team at Wingate Farm, of course, standing fast as the wind, and Farben Nono, along with Tintin in America and Be Happy Mac. Get in touch with Jake Stockton on 0428 527 998. Guess what he did, Daniel, the other day at Wagga last Friday, a week ago? Something cool, I reckon.
What's that?
They took the stallion back to the races. Do you remember doing that as a kid? It was what used to be one of the great things. You go to the races and you could see the stallions there. Alabar used to do it all the time.
There you go.
Way of seeing these horses in the flesh and getting out there instead of trying to get the people to come to the horse.
It's good concept. Yeah, good. It's a smart idea. It's good advertise free advertising basically and free promotion. So if you've got the ability to do it.
Yep. And just one more while we're going, Peter Ramiro, who I haven't seen on tonight, but he generally tunes in at some point of time. He's got himself a very, very nice horse at Wagga. Go and have a look at the results at Wagga. 2 Breeders' Challenges, the last 2 races on the night, and double Lou for Pete Ramiro and Pete McRae, one of the good blokes up at Wagga too. Pete McRae, 4 from 4, that horse is. Interestingly enough, it's not owned by Mick Boots. Most of the Sweet Lou's that race at Wagga are owned by Mickey Boots. But yeah, this horse is a very, very exciting horse. Looked beaten about 3 times. He looks big. He's got a big future. So, but yeah, great to see Pete Ramiro, who's he's a good trainer in his own right. But this horse, I think there's nicer horses he's had come through his camp for a while, and I'm sure Pete would be pretty pumped about him. So yeah, double Lou that horse.
152.8 if you don't mind.
Yeah, and turned off about 3 or 4 times. Even Brad Steele says there has huge potential, and he does indeed. He's just he's a lovely, lovely horse. So yeah, he's 50 years old, Pete, and he's had 192 winners, and I reckon this one would be as good as any to get him out of bed at the minute. So really exciting young horse, that's for sure. Now,
and he's through to that Breeders' Crown,
Breeders' Challenge.
Yeah, so the Breeders' Challenge. Sorry, and just looking at those results there of those, the boys' heat and then the girls' heat, the second night, I did see that Jess Tubbs and Greg Sugars was up there. I wondered where he was because I didn't see him obviously on the fields at Melton. I thought, maybe he's suspended or something, and I just happened to see the result or see the race and saw that he was at Wagga. I thought, it's very unusual that he'd be away from Melton unless he's driving Just Believe overseas or, as he did there, go to Wagga.
Yeah, got something going off here. I don't know what it is. Something's about to turn off. Not sure what's going on here. I've got something. I reckon it's me camera on my computer. But anyway, I'm not sure what's going on. Something's a dodgy lead, I think. But that's all right. It's still going at the minute. We'll worry about it. We'll worry about that if it happens, Daniel. Don't worry too much. I just got funny beats. 152.9. Both of those went. Of course, Greg and Jess won on protest. Our special melody. Memory, is owned by Dennis Howe, and of course Dennis has had his battles with prostate cancer and a few other things. So unfortunately, he was first across the line, but didn't hold the race. So, it's good to hear that Dennis is actually feeling better, which is a great result. Right, we better get Codes on the phone because don't know what that beep is. It's very annoying, though. I can tell you that much. We'll get Cody on the phone, and I might end up cameraless for a while, Daniel. But that's okay. We can work around these things if that happens. We've got to try and find.
We can.
We've got to try and find his name. Now, are you getting involved in the harness charity? You're generally one of these guys that gets involved.
Yeah, well, I'll get into it again. My form is not super. I tend to go average for about the first 2 weeks, and then finally find a winner halfway through, but by that stage you're chasing tail and trying to back bolters to win. So hopefully we get a bit of a profit early on and get ourselves up the leaderboard rather than being down the bottom.
Well, we got the great man on the phone, Cody Winnell. Hello to you.
Evening, guys. How are we?
We better not call you Grant Campbell. We better we'll fix that part up. But it's actually quite funny. I was doing some Googling to find his photo, Daniel, before we get on to too much here at all. And I found an interview, Codes. You got to wait for the 40-second delay. This is the joys of being live on Facebook or anything that you're watching. But actually interviewing Granny, I think it was one of the big mares races nights. So it was a little while ago, Codes, looking at the baby face.
Yeah, the baby face for both of us there and the hairstyle. And I'm looking at the mic with the cord. So that was at a particular time in our journey as well, Paul.
Yes.
I remember that, those days.
I remember those days as well. So there's definitely no hassles there. I used to have them. It's quite interesting. We'll talk about a lot of things with Codes, but they actually still do those on the GP motorbikes. They still use those little setups, which I find ridiculous in this day and age, Codes.
you got to do what you got to do, though, don't you? And I remember when we were first going on the path, Paul, to try and increase the video. It was pretty much what do they call it? Suck it and see and hope for the best. And we were doing that with all sorts of mics and connections. And I still remember you strolling into the office before you launched this when you were launching Campbell's comments. And you only had sort of one or two pieces of equipment, but you were showing me all this stuff that you were going to invest in. And, mate, you've come a long way when it comes to everything you put out, and I think it's fantastic.
Codes, I still do plenty of stuff ups. Don't worry about that. Like I said, I've got something beeping at the minute. There's something going to turn itself off in a minute. I don't even know what it bloody is, but I think I know. I just don't know why it's doing it. But anyway, it'll be right. You two gentlemen can try. But you talk about haircuts. Now, gentlemen, before I go, I'll whack this up to here right now. This is another one that I actually found out of the same video. I could nearly have a guess who. It'll be interesting.
There he is. And wearing a tie, not a bow tie, Paul. And
yeah,
look at that.
Yeah, of course, that is Brett Coffey. I just couldn't help myself. I had to put that in there. Someone will point it out to him. He wears runners now when he wears a suit. He doesn't have that's just a plain blue suit with a white shirt. Like, I mean, that's a government issue. That he's come a long way. He's come a long way, hasn't he, Coates?
Yes. No, look, he has. He's a terrific fella, Brett, and he's a regular viewer of this show. So he might. I don't know if you can see him online, Paul.
Not at the minute, no. But if he is, I'll get a message. Don't you worry.
Get word.
I'll get more than
my oath.
It doesn't show everyone. Some people might be thinking, why do I talk about one person or the other? I don't know how it works. I don't understand the analytics of it and all the rest. But it just shows some people up. The last person to come on is Atul Upper Day Yay is watching. So I'm not sure. But welcome to you, Atul. Hopefully you're enjoying the show, talking about random stuff, including harness racing. Daniel's like, Paulie, be careful. I can see the look on his face. But that's okay. Right, you two. I could throw this over to you guys for the second. Firstly, Codes, we want to talk about a lot of stuff, but we're just talking with Grant then before about the Unite for Hope and raising money. It was a fun run. Yours is probably a lot better for most of the viewers out there in the viewing world, especially the Twitter sphere, if you like, with the Harness Charity Challenge. Now, it's not something that you take credit for, Codes, but you're one of the great pushers behind it and getting the message out there.
No, thanks, Paul. Yeah, look, absolutely. I mean, this is Steve Pogger-Salter. It's his brainchild right from the start. He set it up back in 2015. My connection to the competition is just that I've played in it every single year and been desperate to try and win it. And I've had a couple of times where I've been able to set the pace in the competition early. And Dan, I just caught the back end of your sort of conversation before I jumped on, and the importance of setting an early tempo in the Harness Charity Challenge. It's absolutely critical. And I'm normally not too bad at that. I can set up a bit of a lead through the middle stages, the early stages, but my goodness, I've got an awful record of just collapsing at the finish. But we might talk tactics shortly. The actual charity challenge itself, though, over $150,000 has been raised by, I guess, all of the players in the Harness Charity Challenge since Pogger first established this back in 2015. He does a power of work updating the daily leaderboard, resetting all the big bets. You get one sort of, I can't even remember the term now, the mega
golden
bet,
punt.
The golden punt, that's right. You get one of those a week, and then he resets all those. So there's quite a bit. He retweets everyone's bets every day. He does a power of work over the month, Pogger, and, he deserves enormous kudos for it because, as I say, over $150,000, guys, that's an extraordinary amount in 10 years. And another whole whack of money will go in this year if we can get a big field playing.
You've already got some people playing too at the minute. I saw last night you welcomed, I think it's one of the thoroughbred journos.
I don't know, to be honest, Paul, because that'll be solely managed by Pog.
No, you welcomed him. You welcomed this guy.
Brownie. That might be so a connection back from Hamilton in Andrew Brown.
Yep.
Yes, so back to my old hometown. So, I did put up an article sort of talking about the challenge. I wanted to give that some promotion because I think it is such a great cause. And this is the 10th year, so it's a pretty special milestone for the Harness Charity Challenge. And I don't know, Twitter's a bit different nowadays, and you blokes, you might have your view on that. It's not, I don't think it's as busy as it used to be in the harness racing space. I don't think there's as much discussion and noise that you might have seen in the Halcyon days, but they do seem to still come out for the challenge each year. But there were 62 players back in 2021. Geez, you'd love to get somewhere near that this year. I'm not sure it's possible, but I'd love to see new players, and that's where Brownie coming on board is fantastic. If we can get some new people playing the challenge, we might just recruit a couple of new fans following the sport every week.
Yeah, it's quite unique, Daniel, in a way. Like you said, and you probably start focusing a little bit more on every race or every race meeting because you're watching other people's punts as well.
Yeah, you do, and I think just what Cody was saying there about Twitter being a little bit down. I guess the one guy that we really miss is Tom Hogan. Like with how much he put out, with Twitter and harness racing, and he was on it all the time in the promotion. But Cody's right; it has sort of died down a little bit. But as you say, this month is always busy. Like the traffic that would go through the page is just crazy. And hopefully we can get a big field, because the bigger the field, the more intrigue there is, and the more intrigue leads to more crazy selections at the back end trying to land the big fish. But it's such a good thing. I've only sort of been obviously the first few years wasn't involved directly, but was sort of always keeping an eye on it, and then have been involved the last few years. And yeah, it's stressful. It is really stressful because you've got to. It's bloody almost impossible to win it. But I tell you what, it's damn easy to finish last, and you don't want to finish last. And that's the one thing I think people work so hard to, is just avoid finishing last and avoid not tipping a winner for the whole month.
I tell you, I've tried a few different strategies over the years with, you can play your $1.30 shots and $1.40 shots, and you have your 100 to win. And that can just save you from losing $100 on the day, because you have to spend 100 every day, right? That's what you have to do, or 200 for the golden punt once a week. And if you just kept betting on $1.30 winners, right, you might stay above even, but you're not going to win the comp. We have so many good form analysts and tipsters who play this comp every year, that there are some years where if you're backing the entire field and every selection that is thrown out every day, you're actually finishing ahead, which is extraordinary and just shows the talent of some of the form analysts we're blessed to have in harness racing. And it's a free tipping service for a whole month, basically.
Well, and it does. That's one thing harness racing needs, is more turnover. So that's the one thing that this will do. Like you said about the Twitter sphere, it will put more eyes on that. Daniel's just left me. He'll come back in a second. Hopefully, he should come back. Codes, but it puts more eyes on harness racing, which is what we're after.
100%. 100%. I don't think we should ever think that you can't win new people into our sport and to fall in love with the game, because of course you can. Us three fellas have fallen in love with harness racing for various reasons at various different times. Okay, we've all come in at different times on the harness racing journey, whether it's through family connections or wagging school like myself and going down and watching the Hamilton trots. Whatever it is that your avenue's been in, right? We've all fallen for it. And I remember it was only, a few years ago that we did see, when Trots Vision was launched, the new website, we had great growth coming through the 18 to 35-year-olds through harness racing and through the website. The key is, when you get extra eyeballs looking at the sport, whether it's through a website or a different promotion, or it's, the Summer Carnival, or it's the Harness Charity Challenge, what do we do as an industry to keep that person engaged with harness racing longer term, Paul? And that's where I think, content such as what you guys are putting out tonight and the interviews. I saw your interview with Sharon Hahn, I think it was, the other day. I thought that was an absolute belter. You don't see enough of these interviews, telling the great stories behind harness racing, and all of those things help people fall in love with the game, okay? And the more that we can push that sort of jazz, the better. And I get that at the moment we're in a tricky position as an industry. HRV obviously has to save some money in various different areas, and that means that we are losing some storytelling and promotional opportunities across different and Trots Vision scaled back during the winter, etc. But that's where I think, again, platforms such as Campbell's comments, what we're trying to do with Pacesetters, which is, we're doing it because we love it. We need to promote things and to bring that back to the Harness Charity Challenge. We will, as Dan says, we'll have extra eyeballs looking at the sport for the whole month. I mean, let's hope they fall in love with it and we can actually retain some of those that audience and keep them going right through until the next summer carnival and then until the next October when we do it all over again.
Some of the rules, boys. What are the rules for this harness charity? And we want people to get involved. If you're not on Twitter, it's a little bit tricky to get involved, but you can contact myself off camera, and I'll be able to forward you onto there. But look, to follow and keep up, you need to be on the Twitter sphere to do it. But what are some of the rules, D. Hibberd?
Well, you've got to you get, as I say, you get the golden punt, which is your $200 bet once a week, resets at the end of 7 days. You've got about $100 each day. It can be $100 the win or $50 each way. And if you're using a golden punt, it can be $200 the win or $100 each way. But that's basically the rules. I guess you've just got to get your tip on Twitter in a timely fashion. You don't want to be putting it on as they're scoring up. That's a bit of a no-no. But just you get up there in a timely manner, and then basically Pogger does the rest. I mean, he'll retweet it. He puts it out there so everybody knows what you've tipped, and then he calculates the dividend should you pick the winner, or if you don't, you get the red numbers on the spreadsheet at the end of the week.
Dan, just on that point too, the amount of times that, the day's gone by and everyone's put their tip in and poor Poggy's sitting there up late waiting for Jason Bonington to come through with any selection. And then J-Bond comes through with one at, Solvala or something overseas because it's all that's left.
At 11:58 on a Friday night, and it's the last race anywhere, and it's the last race he can pick something out, and it's that just used to be the way with it. You get messages on Twitter. Where's J-Bond? Is he around? Is he alive? What's going on? Because he was always the last one to tip.
It's the one certainty with this comp every year that J-Bond will be dragging the chain at some stage and need to be prompted to put his tip on. The other one is that Andy Gath will find you some good horses to follow in New Zealand. He's a two-time winner of the comp, won it in 2019 and 2023, and I think both times he's landed a few nice bets over in New Zealand, gents.
Yeah. Although I know what's her name will be watching that. Going from there, Stevie Salter Bonners is a dead set no. That actually goes for just about anything, Pog. Stephen Salter, anyone wondering, Stephen Salter is actually Pog. And if you want to get involved,
it applies to anything we were talking about, not just the charity challenge.
If anyone wants to get involved in this and you're not on Twitter, Stephen Salter, just put a message to him off that. You can send him a message off that one comment there and you can get involved. So if you do want to get involved, get in touch with Pog that way is the best way. Or as I said, send myself a message. I was giggling because I was thinking, well, he's probably gone to wherever he left his phone the last time and realised where it was. And it goes from there. It's not that he wants to bet on that last race. It's just that's the time he's found his phone.
Maybe in the past, I'm more confident and optimistic this year because he's maintained the same phone for the duration of us having done the Pacesetters podcast, and that's coming up 5 months almost now. So that's a new record, boys.
He has.
Just going to say, Paul, with it as well. Obviously, it's a charity challenge, but you get when you put your entry into Pogger, you get to pick your charity. So if you have a certain charity that is close to your heart, whatever that might be, you just give the details to Pogger. And he will apply that to the spreadsheet. But what he also does, which is very good, is that he tweets that out as well. So if they're on Twitter, whatever the entity might be, he finds their username, and he sends out a tweet saying that the player's playing for such and such, and they get the exposure as well. So it's a really good cross-pollination for everything when it comes to the challenge, and that's if you can pick a big charity, you can pick a small charity. It doesn't matter who you go for. It's all about trying to win finish in the top of the leaderboard and get a donation to your charity on the challenger's behalf.
Tyler Jews online. Good evening to you. You could get involved in this, Tyler. He's a bit of a demon on the punt. Don't worry about that. And then Sean McNulty. It's a very enjoyable comp. Don't think I've missed a year. And I know he gets right involved with the Twitter comments going from Sean's a bit of a deadly assassin, if you like. I know he's quite happy just to sit back and does his New Zealand form as well a bit, Codes.
He's terrific. He's a terrific long-term player of the comp. And so good evening, Sean. Absolutely a fantastic player in the Harness Charity Challenge and merits a lot of respect if you're doing your form and trying to pick a winner in this year's comp.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to change the subject, please. But if you want to get involved, get in touch with Steve Solder. Cody is going to have a podcast with Steve Pogger later this week. That's what jogged my memory. And I'm definitely not raining down on the boys' parade. I want people to get involved in it. But, yeah, we want people to be able to watch that. Hopefully that happens as long as Bonners knows where his phone is.
No, it'll happen. We're looking forward to having him on. I must just say, Paul, I caught the earlier discussion with you gents about charities, and it was great to have Grant on talking about the work for Pancare. And I just quickly scribbled down just how much, in my opinion, harness racing here in Victoria has punched above its weight for so long, right, in the charity space. Straight away, you think Harness Charity Challenge, over 150 grand in 10 years, right? Then you've got the teal pants for ovarian cancer. That's been happening since, I want to say
18 years.
There you go, 18 years, Paul. Fantastic. I mean, that's just a brilliant cause. Duncan McPherson behind that and driving it, but we all are getting behind. The whole industry gets behind it, and the girls in the teal pants. Then you've got the pink pants for breast cancer, which is, fairly new to the stable, but we do that as well, raising money for breast cancer. We've got the Pancare for pancreatic cancer, which Grant mentioned before. Paul, you've been driving the long run, and I think that's for prostate cancer.
Yep.
Which I think is fantastic. And I know HRV and the industry's put teams together with that previously. Then you've got industry participants, which I know, Dan, you touched on earlier, who do it tough through either floods or fires or health, and the industry always dips into the pocket and helps each other out. And
Tough
then the
Tilly.
Royal
Tough Tilly.
Yeah, Tough Tilly, absolutely. Tough Tilly, it's another great cause.
Yep.
And the Royal Children's Hospital. We've been doing the Good Friday appeal for years. Used to have the drivers going to Channel 7 there, and all the Pony Trots kids and drivers also pulling their sulkies up the straight at Melton to raise money for the Good Friday appeal. So when you just look at all of that, right, the amount of money and coverage that harness racing in Victoria drives for good causes, I think, is just massively undersold from a wider sense. As you said, Paul, we don't necessarily all shout about it, but I do think the industry deserves a massive pat on the back over many years, because it's a very generous industry full of very, very generous people. And let's be honest, the participants especially are doing it pretty tough with prize money, where it is, just with the state of play at the moment. And yet they never say no when it comes to helping out their fellow participants or a great cause. And I think that's just magnificent and deserves such a huge shout out.
And if we've missed any there too, I will say we do apologise. And Daniel, you said the same thing, as I said, with the greyhounds. And I know a couple of the things I've done through with Troy Harley, beanies for brain cancer. I get that one. The Mark Hughes Foundation. They do a prostate. They do a pacing for pink as well. There's so many. I saw Albion Park actually the other night. They must have had a random one, because all the drivers, and geez, it caught my eye, they all had pink hats on, covers on. So I thought, well, there's so many things out there. We just don't realise that the participants, and right at the minute, one of the big things is that we don't have this community engagement, but we do have a great engagement. Maybe we don't sell it enough, Codes. Might be one of our issues within the industry.
I'd agree with that, and I think you'll find there are measures. I'd be confident in saying there'll be measures put in place at HRV, I think, as we speak, most likely to keep improving in that space, the messaging, because the work's being done. Especially during these times, which are tough financial times, as we know, I think it is important that we do tell the story of just what racing overall contributes to local community and regions right across Victoria. Because, we need support. We do need the government to realise just how much economic impact racing has to all of these areas right across the state, but also it should never be lost just how much we contribute charitably too.
No, absolutely. I get some very strange names of people tuning in. Harry's watching, Hery. It's an interesting name. Right, Coach. Pacesetters. the podcast that you have got up and going now with Jason Bonington, which congratulations. Do you take a Valium?
He deserves a medal for this.
It's been terrific, and it's something Bono and I have talked about for a fair while, and we were talking about the right time to launch it back in February. We were chatting away, and we sort of kept we kept trying to hone in what it meant, but then we wanted to get the website right before we launched it. And in the end, we just, we thought, bugger it, we keep tweaking things. Let's just push it out there and see what happens. And it's good fun. It's good fun. We're trying to tip winners. We're trying to have guests on and talk about some topics that we think need talking about. J-Bon and I both have pretty unique and well-connected experience within the industry, of course, given our previous work at HRV, plus we've seen the struggles and the challenges that the industry faces at the ground level, because we both have that connection, going back a long time, actually being at the races, something we're very passionate about. And then as an owner, through that lens, Paul, which is something a bit more recent for me, because, of course, the rules at HRV were that you couldn't own a horse, but that changed sort of at the very back end of my time before I left HRV. And I got into a pacer with Jackie Barker that we brought over from New Zealand. And unfortunately, she wasn't able to make the track here. She got to a couple of trials, but couldn't quite get that one going like we thought maybe from New Zealand. But the good news there is the reason we invested in a filly or a mare was because we actually wanted to eventually join the breeding gang, and it just happened a lot quicker than we thought. So we've got the mare by Rock and Roll Hibberd out of Glenferrie Classic. Her granddam was actually Mainland Banner.
Yes,
we won 17 from 22. So there's lots of winners scattered through the family. But yeah, we're in got a foal to Vincent, which is due any day, I believe. So that's pretty exciting.
Prodigious New Zealand family. That will feature probably a dozen times in the New Zealand NZB sales. I don't know when they are, February, I know that, but I'll get into trouble if I get the wrong date. Cambray will tell me off, or someone will tell me off. I've got to be there, so I should know the dates. I think it's about the 18th, 17th and the 18th, I reckon I'll go with, but thereabouts anyway. But we'll get onto that more importantly. What's the podcast about, Codes?
Yeah, so it's about a range of things. It's whatever we want to discuss. We don't have any rules. I heard you say at the start, you guys, you don't necessarily go with as you read out my production text message. We're pretty similar. We sort of do pick a topic if we think there's one to discuss. So we talked ownership, I know, a few weeks back and had some ideas there. Then, of course, we had the industry rallies that were happening and sort of touched on that and the announcements from HRV. And we focus on racing and form quite a bit as well. So we do try and pick a winner and get the quaddie. Yep. So, look, we do it because we love it. It's a bit like you fellas. We're not doing it to make a fortune. That's not what it's about. It's because, you wouldn't do it for those reasons. You do it because you love the game. Yep. And we enjoy talking trots. We enjoy trying to pick a winner. And storytelling too. That's a big part of it going forward. That's something I want to do a bit more of, is actually sit down with just some interesting characters and, get those stories out there, whether it's on the pod or in written form.
Daniel, this is a true story, and he has to agree with this. Emily Morgan, thank you very much, because Em's part of the media department at HRNZ, and it will be 9 o'clock over there, so you might be almost her bedtime, but the 15th to the 18th is the NZB sales, so thank you very much, Em. She bails me out of a lot of tight jams. When I started Truth Be Told, now this was back just prior, it was a year prior to COVID, actually, so 2018. Cody and I were talking, and he said, I've got this idea for you. And he said, do you know anything about podcasts? And I remember I just said yes. I remember
that. Yep.
And I said yes and shook your head.
And then got off the phone, and I'm like, how do I Google this? And all the rest. And I remember, I think it was Michael might have said, I'll just bring your computer with you. And I'm like, right, there's another issue. Don't have a computer, but that's okay. We'll get to that. Anyway, so we started talking about these Truth Be Tolds, and I love doing them, and I still do that sort of similar format where I can, and especially with time, they take a lot more time, where I was able to catch up. But Cody decided, the reason it was Truth Be Told is because of my horse dentistry background, and Cody's decided, well, this would be really cool. While you're doing horses' teeth, you could be doing one of these interviews,
having a chat as you're working.
And I'm like, no, that can't happen. But I tell you what, Coach, it's getting closer. I reckon I can nearly do it now, and it may actually happen one day, I reckon. So, yeah.
I think I was, when I envisioned that, Paul, I was probably thinking I'll hear all this noise, right? And now that I'm thinking about it, I was probably thinking of a farrier hammering on a foot, because if you're hammering on a tooth like that, I'm not sure it'd be very enjoyable for the horse. I don't know the sounds would quite work the same.
No, they won't. But I seriously have thought about it, because I think it is cool.
I remember Noel Shin. I reckon you had him quite early on.
Yep, he was my first one. So
there you go. Yeah, I remember that. And as I said before, Paul, when you consider those early starts and you going away and Googling things, and then coming into the office and presenting all different gear, you usurped us for the professional and expert in the technical space pretty quickly.
Dr. Google, I tell you what, he had to answer to a lot of things. Troy Harley has been watching. I'm not sure if he is. He's sitting up the Gold Coast, getting ready to watch Katy Perry in the grand final. He's doing it hard, Hales. He's moved up the food chain at GRV, so I can't use him. But he was one of the instruments behind the first show that we did, which was called Before the Races, which was Johnny Power, who does my tech stuff for me now. He was the videographer and doing all the sound. And then we had both Brendan Baker and also Troy Harley, and then Brian Coughlin as well. And we just had fun. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes, Codes, with a lot of the stuff we do. Like I remember doing those Truth Be Told, and you're trying to be serious all the time, but sometimes it's the stuff that make you laugh, you forget about, that people want to hear as well.
Yeah, and it's a bloody good point. And J-Bon and I spoke about this when we talked about Pacesetters. We've spent a lot of time presenting, and when you're presenting, you're you're presenting, aren't you? You're broadcasting, and you're doing it a certain way. Whereas podcasts and shows like this, and hopefully shows like Pacesetters, it's just about having a conversation. And the thing you mentioned, Bakes and Troy and Wayne, passion is the common denominator. And Dan tonight and yourself, passion for the game is what shines through when you're just being honest and having a conversation. You throw the old presenting and all that stuff out the window, and you just say, you know what, I'm going to embrace the fact that I'm going to listen, I'm going to ask questions, we're going to learn a thing or two. It's just a conversation. And I think that's what makes the best content. I love podcasts, not just racing podcasts, but that's, it's a terrific medium because it's just conversation.
Yeah. And people enjoy it, and people enjoy the fact, I know they sincerely, when people are enjoying an interview, it's because the person giving it is enjoying giving it as well. And I think that's one of those things I've learned over the journey. I went through a stage of trying to be politically correct and all the rest, whereas I'm more comfortable with having Marie very nervous that I might drop an F-bomb or something along those lines to be. It is a funny thing, and I don't know you guys' thoughts on it, but I do think we probably need to change a little bit of what we do, and potentially how we do it. Maybe your co-host from time to time has gone overboard, Jason, but at the same time, he says it as it is, Coates.
Yeah, he's got a certain style, doesn't he, Jay Bonnet? He's always had that, and it is a bit looser than some traditional broadcasters. I mean, I have a journalistic background, and my wife, I come from a journalism family through her as well. And the ABC presenters back in the day would have done things very differently to how Jason does it. But it's 2024, and podcasts are different to presenting the news on the ABC, right? We don't always have to do the same thing that's been done on Sky Racing, and they do a great job, or Racing in New Zealand. They all do a great job, right? It's great. It's great broadcast. It's great content. Okay, there's no knock on it at all. But we don't always have to do the same thing over and over. We don't all have to be the same. If everyone is the same and everyone is presenting the same, then how bland would that be? It's like when an AFL player says something honest and everyone jumps on him because he's spoken his mind and said something, and it's like, well, hang on. Would you prefer them all just to be reading from a script 24/7? How boring would that be from a content point of view? And I think that's where podcasts and websites and all this sort of jazz, and radio done well, modern radio done well, I think it is heading in a different direction.
I do. Daniel, I don't know if you're into the F1s. I know Codes is, and Codes will be right across
Love
this.
it.
Max Verstappen, they all drop the F-bomb. I think one of the great things they do, and it was picked up by someone the other day, that they only wear polo tops and pants. They look like they belong on a beach more often than not. Most of the guys, sometimes they have their shirts tucked in, sometimes they don't. The girls dress lovely, but sometimes, you know, it's a little bit that one step down from lovely, and I'm not degrading them in any way at all. I love the way they dress. Casual would be, you know, the better word. And so they started dropping the F-bomb. So Max Verstappen, and, you know, world champion, 7-time world champion in the sport, one of the best there's ever been, drops the F-bomb in an interview, and it was only once. It was only once that he's been slapped with community service. There's an interview, and I'll try and find it and share it on Campbell's comments, but there's an interview with Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Lewis Hamilton. And it's by far, I don't know if you've seen it yet, Coach, it is the funniest thing you'll ever.
Mate, I've read about it, and so that would have been the press conference, and I just heard he was there giving one-word answers and refusing to speak because he'd had enough. He said, "Oh well, I don't want to get a community service."
They said to him in the interview, so he's answering one-word answers. So they're, you know, can you win? Yes. And that's it. And then, you know, all these guys are wanting more. And at one stage, one of the journos says, Max, he said something. He said, "I'll chat to you afterwards." And the next minute he goes, "Oh, so you'll talk to us outside this room?" And Max is like, "Yeah, no worries. I'll talk to you all outside the room." And they're like, "Oh," and you can hear that. But you've got Lando Norris sitting in the middle, who's his main rival right at the minute. And he's seriously doing this because he doesn't want to get into trouble, because he's pissing himself laughing. He's laughing his head off at the answers. And it's gold, and I can promise you won't watch it once. You'll watch that interview 2 and 3 times. It's great.
No, I'm looking forward to you putting it up, but a couple of funny, real quick ones out of my time at HRV. I remember there was one trainer who I won't name, who I used to interview regularly before I went to HRV, and I used to write copy for leader newspapers, and I used to send the articles into HRV. And this one trainer, I rang him once, and they said, "I'm not talking to you because HRV hasn't treated me very well, so I'm not talking to you." And I tried to use the fact that we'd had the relationship going back, but this particular trainer wasn't having a bar of it. So I do recall that. There was a bit of a Max Verstappen moment, I guess, with that particular trainer at that time. And then J-Bond tells stories where some trainers or drivers, remember he used to do the pre-race interviews down there asking about tactics just before the jump. And they were terrific, you know. And people have different views on them, but, you know, they were a point of difference. And he's down on the track, and there are some drivers who just said, "Nah, stay away from me. Don't come near me." And I think it was because the trainer had basically told that driver, don't speak to J-Bond, don't speak to Blake, don't speak to whoever is out there.
Yep.
So that Max Verstappen, it does happen, Paul, a bit closer to home sometimes, but I won't name names.
No. But
I'll let people speculate.
You got to watch this interview. I just found it incredibly fun. I actually have them. I still have them now, Codes. I have a couple of trainers that refuse to talk to me, so I don't interview them.
Have you pissed them off, or do they just not like coverage?
There was one person said about exclusivity for a certain other person.
Okay.
And so I said, "Sweet." I said, "How about we do a deal? I won't try and interview you. You don't ask me for an interview." And he said, "No worries." And he won a big race, and he had a band of merry men around him. And they said, "Oh, you come and do an interview?" And I said, "Yeah, I will, but not with him." I went and interviewed the driver. And they're all like, "What the hell?" And I'm like, "Well, you know, a deal is a deal. If you don't want to dish it out when it doesn't suit you, two can play that game." So yeah, so I've just
Paul, that's disappointing to hear. As the media GM back in the day, I used to just stress the importance of everyone taking advantage of every media opportunity they can do. And you know, in a game like ours, I don't like that approach at all. I think, and I must say, 99% of our participants are brilliant. They'll do anything for media and for promotions. I remember when we set up the Trots Vision intro, and we had about 12 drivers come down to Melbourne. You know, they're giving up their time. They're driving miles down to Melbourne to just be in the studio and get all the videos in front of the LED screens all day.
Yep.
I mean, what a bunch of absolute troopers. How good was that? Coming down, doing that because they want to be involved in promotion of the game. And Dan, I'd be interested in your thoughts, but, just the importance of embracing content opportunities, embracing media. I think it's critical because it's free. It doesn't cost anything if they come to you and ask you to, do an interview.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the one thing that it doesn't cost anything, but the reward for it sometimes can't be measured. I think it's foolish not to from a trainer's perspective, it's foolish to not, particularly if you've got a winner or something like that, it's foolish not to embrace the opportunity to put your name up there in lights after you've had a win, whether it's a Group 1 or whether it's a maiden on a Friday night or whatever. It's important to put your name out there and highlight your achievements, because it's good for the industry, and it feeds growth. And it's the small things in our industry that need to be promoted at times. And doing a 30-second, 45-second interview can make a big difference, because not only from a business point of view, but from if it's a trainer, a small trainer, they get friends and family that see it on Facebook, and it just spreads and it grows, and it can get a lot more reach than you would expect.
Well said.
Yeah, and I think people need to be aware too that there are people out there that wait for these interviews. Sometimes they really want to see them and they want to hear from them, and albeit we might think it's a waste of time, or it could be half an hour down the road. Alan McDonough, I don't know if you saw that one the other night. He won the race before at Bendigo last Wednesday night. No, not the Buttons, I think it was, or not the Buttons, and he had a run in the next race. And anyway, so then I ended up doing an interview with Jackie and Eva that wasn't sort of part of the deal, and I went around there and they were loading the horses up. And I just thought, well, I understand they've had a huge couple of weeks. I thought, well, I'll go and see. And Nell goes, mate, you brought the camera out here. We're doing the interview. And he did not even hesitate. He wasn't waiting around for the interview. And I understand that because they had horses going everywhere. But as soon as I rocked up with it, he goes, yeah, absolutely. And then I said to him, who's driving the truck? And he goes, I am. He gives up 10 minutes of his time to tell the story.
I heard that. I saw that and I heard it and I thought it was fantastic, Paul. Terrific stuff from Al. I must say, back in the day, you'd be up against it, and you know this at the races. You are up against it sometimes with time and the next race and the drivers are swapping into the silks. But everyone makes that extra effort. And this is what I said before, 99% of the industry is just brilliant when it comes to this sort of thing. They know how important it is. And so the trainers would be gearing up the next horse. The driver would be happy to have a chat on camera whilst they're doing up their silks for the next race. They're juggling a lot, but they do understand the importance of the media side of it. And the stewards even got it too. There were times where I was thinking, if we don't get a wriggle on here, we might end up, pushing a bit close to the start of the race. But the stewards understand it. They're working with the starter. We probably get it as the heat really starts to come on late. Everyone quickly gets scrambling and makes sure we're ready to go on time. But I guess what I'm trying to say is there's that layer of understanding that the media is there to play a role that we have right through the harness industry. And that is good because it is so important. We just need more coverage, don't we? More coverage and more content. And that's tricky because it's very competitive at the moment, the media and wagering and sports landscape. And that's why you've got to take every opportunity, all of us do, when we've got a chance to spruik the game.
Yep. I must say, Daniel, you and I, we did, I actually got some photos the other day from Troy Harley, actually, in relation to, with the COVID, we did some live shows for the greyhounds. And there was one show, and it was the, what's that country race, the maiden race? What's that, Daniel? The
the Pink Diamond.
Pink Diamond, yeah, was at Bendigo. And Codes, we ended up doing basically 3 studios set up there in the one thing. And what we found, even Troy and I were talking afterwards, the amount of people that just loved it. I think sometimes they just love the fact that you're taking the time to promote the sport, if that makes sense. I'm convinced sometimes a lot of people don't necessarily wait on every word you say, but they actually just enjoy the fact that you're there promoting their sport and trying to do it different. And we were doing some pretty innovative stuff and some very random things as well. And but they enjoy it. And I think sometimes when we're on this side, if you like, the three of us and other people, sometimes I think we're a bit harsh on ourselves. We might say, oh, we missed this in a comment, or I said the wrong thing. Quite often, I never listen back to myself anymore because it does me head in, because I'll be like, I'll call Daniel Cody and Cody Daniel and things like that, and it messes with me. No one comments on it. They actually just enjoy the fact that you've put the content out there.
Someone once said to me, Paul, if you can play guitar, even just a couple of basic chords, and you jump up on stage and strum away, no one's going to come and knock you, because you're playing for them and they probably can't play one chord. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's it, the passion and the what you're trying to achieve, again, that shines through. And I think everyone understands that, and we don't get enough coverage. So yeah, that's why I think that would be appreciated. And I think you're right. I think they do appreciate it. Absolutely. And, making the effort to go to Sharon's place again the other day. Traveling the country to go and have a chat with someone about a double. I mean, that's very special for her. That interview will live on almost like a memento or a keepsake forever.
Yep.
And you took the time to go and do it. Yep. How good's that? And she would appreciate that so much. And that's just one interview. You do them all the time. And I think, I think the industry participants appreciate it more, Paul, than you may know.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I will say one of the best ones I've done, and I am going to do more of them, is the On the Road with Michael Bellman. I tell you, it was I ring him because I was getting a ride. Beck Morrissey took me halfway, and then we swapped over, and I said, mate, we might do an interview in the car. And he's like, yep. And there was no scripting. There was nothing. I said, are you up for this? And he goes, yep. And we just chatted, and I was able to find out so much more about the guy. Well, the feedback that I got from so many people just on that one chat, like there's so many ways you can do things. And I can tell you now, that was with an Osmo Action 3 camera, and that was it. You can do them. There's so many ways you can do them, and you can get the message out there. There was no other audio. There was nothing else. It was just one action camera that would cost you $300. Probably.
How's that, Dan? He's throwing around terms like Osmo Action 3, etc. Like you and I are supposed to know what that means.
It's a GoPro.
He doesn't know what it means.
No, and I'll be honest. It's actually the web camera that's playing up, that's making the funny beeps, but I can see what it is because it's got Action 3 written underneath it. So, Coach, one of the things we did with this, I can do it. I can get my phones as another camera, and Daniel will know this, that from time to time I've had the cameras and go for there. And we got James Vandermeer, the second best greyhound caller in Victoria at the minute. Daniel, don't you worry about that. We'll put him where he is.
Good call.
James, it was through COVID, and James didn't get vaccinated, and that was his choice. But so he couldn't be a part of one of our shows we did. So I said, well, I'll bring him in on the phone. And we weren't sure exactly how it would go, but GRV were more than happy to give it a try, and Troy Harley was confident that I could get it to work. So we did it. And, of course, the first couple of times he came on, and he was dressed very civilly. I'll never forget, after 10 o'clock, the last one, he came out in a bathrobe. And it was the funniest interview, because he'd been tipping up. Anyone that knows James Vandermeer knows a man does not lack self-confidence in any way. He would been tipping up a card, so he basically came back walking like Hugh Hefner, like he had that much money. So he dressed himself up that way. And I'll never forget, I was killing myself laughing when he came on, and because Troy and them couldn't see until I flicked the screen over. So I forget who was alongside me. I think it might have been Johnny. The two of us are killing ourselves laughing. And Troy said, they're thinking, what the hell is going on? And then when I flicked the screen for them and they saw it, they were busted. They had no hope. But it was after 10 o'clock, and yep, it got a little bit random. The whole story did. So yeah. But the thing
about live is anything could happen, and it usually does. I think that's a Formula One saying too.
Oh yeah, it does. It's yeah, and I love it. And Codes, I could talk to you forever and a day about podcasts and how to do them differently. But we've got to talk. We don't have to talk about the sport, but that's what On Loose Lines is to promote what's going on. and have fun. It's a saying. Anyone wonders, a lot of people ask, where's the name come from? Basically, Lockie Mac, because the lines are reins. And I just thought, well, it is a loose lined show. So, yeah, he does every now and then say tight lines. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm glad I didn't go with that for a show name. That'd be no good at all. That would be.
Well, what does that mean? That just means you're holding back, doesn't it? Loose lines mean you're all out. It's just you're throwing the reins.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have fun. Guys, thank you. I could chat forever. Actually, before we go, Kilmore Cup is on this Friday night. Coach, did you have anything else to add first?
No, look, not really. Just whatever you wanted to chat about, Paul. I think I've taken up probably too much of your listeners' and viewers' time already. So Kilmore Cup sounds good.
Curls is on. Trent Mason from New Zealand's doing an awesome job. He's a new investor. You guys may or may not know him. Spending very big money on the sport in New Zealand, and we need more people like him coming in. So hello to you, Trent. He's a regular viewer too. So I reckon I put him to sleep though, because it's couple of hours earlier. So I think that's actually what I tend to do. And Courtney Buchanan is on as well, another of the girls behind the scenes at New Zealand. They really get it. The guys in New Zealand codes, they're outstanding. Both Ems and Courtney, and Brad's probably still on there watching as well. So
it shows absolutely.
Yeah, they do get it indeed. Right out the Kilmore Pacing Cup. I don't know if you gentlemen have seen the field. Oh, hit the wrong button. I do that a lot, codes. I can tell you that. I hit the wrong button. Hell of a lot.
I've just called it up now. It is a good field.
It is indeed. It's up there on the screen now. Now, this is Friday night. Now, it's snuck up on a lot of people. I think we need to do a better job of promoting these races. But at 8:33, the Jet Roofing, what a sponsor they've been for Kilmore Pacing Cup Group 2 event. And it is a very, very even and good field, isn't it?
Yeah, my oath, from what I can see here. I mean, Bulletproof Boyd, 888, District Attorney, Tango Tara, Major Mob. Better Eclipse is drawn wide, but has a bit of a class edge potentially there. Jillaby Jack Sparrow, Like a Wildfire, Perfect Stride, Hell of a Hector, and Exotic Bushranger, which could be anything but jumped off stride last time out in the Vic-Bred. But that's a very good field. And Kowalski Analysis, I rate that horse a bit too. It's the emergency. So, no, that's a cracking field. Gents.
Yeah, it is, and it's good to see. I mean, everyone says it loses its gusto, if you like, the Kilmore Cup, but it's always been on grand final eve. We know when it is, so we've got to embrace it.
100%. You've got the Trotters Cup too on the same night, Paul?
Yep, good field. Very, very, very good field for that. Headed up by Call Me the Breeze, of course, owned by my great sponsors and supporters, Harasta Trotters. But it's a cracking field. And a couple of these horses, I got the Kiwis on. These horses could potentially be geared up for the Dominion Handicap. One overall, RC Phoenix and Call Me the Breeze are all nominated to head across there. So it could be a good little form race for the Dominion going forward too as well. Daniel, did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, that Trotters Cup's really good. I'm just looking at the conditions there. If you actually win this, the Kilmore Cup, you automatically qualify for the Inter-Dominion in New South Wales. So that's not a bad little carrot, but that's an interesting race given you've got all those good ones off a 30-metre handicap. So it's not a big spread of handicaps, but even still 30 metres is a long way back, and those off the front, whilst they might not have the absolute class of those out the back, this is a sort of race where it's a really good could be a really good betting race because of the fact that you've got the top liners at the back, and you've got some of the up and comers at the front who could get to the lead and could run along. You've got a horse like Prince of Rock who could ping the tapes and lead and run along and make it really hard for the ones off the handicaps.
Just looking at the conditions, as you mentioned, Dan, it's 114 or better ratings, 30 metres. I mean, I would annoy trainers, I reckon, because this is going to sound a little controversial, but if it were me, I'd probably have an Andy Gathway like this, but I'd have Call Me the Breeze further back. I know 30 metres is still 30 metres, but let's if we were going to go back to the days of Night Pistol and these others having to overcome 90 metres or 100 metres or whatever it was at Globe Derby back in the day, I'd probably push Call Me Breeze back a little bit more than 30. Mufasa Metro would be back there as well. You might there might be even more of a spread. I don't know about the 114 or better blanket 30 metres, Paul.
I think it's too hard nowadays, Codes, because the horses up the front. Yeah, it's a different day and age. I worked for Graham Johansson with True Roman. He couldn't win off 80, but he could win off 70. And that was because the horses were getting better. I think he used to only race off 50 at Globe Derby in the end. So I think they've changed it going forward. So
Paul, do you think, Paul, can I ask, would Call Me the Breeze beat all of those horses on the front line off 50?
He wouldn't go in it.
No, but would he beat him if he, let's say there's a world where he had to go in it?
He'd beat all the ones off the front.
Yeah,
he would, wouldn't he? And that means that,
yeah.
And that's my argument, that 30's not enough then, is it? But I agree, he probably wouldn't go in it then, so you end up getting a weaker field, I suppose.
It's not really one of those discretionary handicaps. It's more of a, where they've set the handicaps on on the rankings. If it was a discretionary handicap, well, yeah, he would probably be off. Well, he'd at least be off 40, if not close to 50, given the conditions of the race. He actually gets in very well on the handicap.
One of the things is, though, I think you'll find is the recovery afterwards. These horses will win those races, but it takes way too much out of them. So they'll wait a week later because there is the mobile races codes. That's why I say he wouldn't go in.
Yeah, fair call.
They would say, right, bugger this. We'll wait for another one. It's interesting. The New Zealand Trotting Cup, the maximum handicap. I've got a couple of Kiwis watching. I think it's 15 metres. I think they have a front row and then a 15 metres, and that's just because of the weight of horses when you have two horses off the front line. That is the maximum handicap. Any horse will be penalised, and predominantly most of those will get the front. So that's a massive spread for the New Zealand Trotting Cup.
Yeah. Well,
it's not a massive spread. It's the other way. It's not a spread at all.
Yes, understood. I said yes, didn't I, Paul? But no, I knew exactly what you meant.
One overall. Now, gentlemen, I'm going to show you something. How do I do it? I've got to hit this button here. Which button? That one there. So I've got him here. He's the horse last in the green. I don't know if you guys saw this the other day. If you keep watching that horse out wide, just underneath the 3 at the minute, this is unbelievable. See the black dot? That is a plastic bag. I've never seen a horse. I've just got to scroll it back. Where is that bag? So can you see that bag right there in front of him? That is a black plastic bag. He is the roughest trotter going in harness racing. He's a very, very good horse. They've done a great job, Jess and Greg, with him. And he never missed a beat going across that plastic bag. It's one of those ones, when I saw his name pop up, I thought, I've got to show this again because I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. And
I didn't pick that up. I didn't pick that up at the time.
It had the better of myself and Marie. We watched the race and we're like, what is that? We actually thought it was something off the computer, but talking to Greg later on, and he said, no, it was a plastic bag. He said of all the horses, he didn't think he'd go straight over it. So he did. Wayne Potter's on. Hello to you, Wayne. Frank Gauchi. Both fine gentlemen, but because Wayne's got having a great run with his Trotter the Locomotive, actually. So his name.
Shout out to Tasman Potter too. Brilliant drive, and I'm talking through the pocket here, back New Yorker each way, but it absolutely summed it up beautifully the other night. Did young Tasman. Fantastic win on New Yorker.
And she's a great interview, and I love interviewing her. And it was quite funny. The Locomotive won at Geelong, and as we finished, she said, "Now I didn't swear in that, did I?" I said, "No." Me and her may have had a little bit of a brief history with that, but no, she does an awesome job, and I think Wayne does an amazing job with his horses. But his 3 girls love being a part of it too, and that's what this family sport's about. And I think he does an awesome job as well. That way, the girls all have a lot of fun when they're with his dad. So I think that's great. I hope I can have the same relationship with Holly at the same time as what he is. He does an amazing job.
My oath.
The Victoria Cup is up on the October 12th.
Just before you go off Kilmore, you forgot the most important race, Paul.
Oh, worst named horse in racing must be going around.
He is not.
Hephaestus Phoenix. How do I get Hephaestus.
Oh, I struggle with that one myself.
Oh, I'm sure they named it just to bloody annoy me. That's for sure. I don't know. Hang on a sec, Daniel. I'm getting to it. What race?
Race 3.
I'm getting there. Just give me a sec. Of course, all these fields are up early because of it being a public holiday. The old that catches us all out. I won last start. That's right. Just snooze driving.
By a very, very narrow margin, but it was good to get back on the right side of the ledger with him because he'd run a lot of fat ladies before that. So it was nice to get the win. He just beat Leanne by a very slender margin, but it was a positive run and hopefully a little couple of changes and that Snooze has been working on have started to work for us. And he'll be in that race on Friday.
I think that's one of the codes. And I'll be interested in your thoughts because we haven't spoken about this for a while. But the depth in trotters, because that's actually a pretty good field of trotters there, and that's your B grade trot event on a Kilmore Cup tonight.
Well, he was entered for 2 races. He was entered for this one. He was entered for one at Melton on the Thursday, and that one looks like it got deleted. I couldn't find it in the in the field. So, but this had really good nominations, and it's a very that grade that it's that 70 to 80 grade is very, very even, and you get a few that sort of come up very quickly from the 50s and 60s, and then they get to this level, and it can sometimes be a bit harder to go past it. And we sort of found that with Malk. He sort of he flew up to this grade, and then he had a couple of average runs that he dropped back, but he got that win the other night, so he's sort of back into that 73 grade that he is now. So it's if you can place your horse well in this grade, you can certainly race for good money, but it's I will say it's difficult to maintain that, particularly if you don't go all the way through to 120.
Your thoughts, Codes, on the trotters and the depth of the trotters?
Yeah, it's actually really, I think, and I agree with everything Daniel just said, but I would say when you're doing the form for the Metro trots at the moment, that 70-85, a lot of you're getting fast class horses sort of, going up in the free-for-alls, popping back into these sort of races. And there's actually sometimes not that much between competing really well in a fast class trotters race and in this sort of, point spread, rating spread. So I think it is getting more and more competitive. I think Hephaestus Phoenix is probably, with that field, I mean, Dan, you'll know better than I suspect here, but I reckon has probably some of the most upside in that race going forward. I know Jason Bonington has a big opinion of Hephaestus Phoenix going forward.
Won't be as big as Daniel's.
We've always had. Well, I mean, the story goes that they had a big opinion of him. They thought he at the same time when they were 3-year-olds, he was supposedly better than RC Phoenix. Now we didn't race at all as a 4-year-old because he had a bit of an injury that didn't need surgery or anything, but just needed time off. So we missed all of the 4-year-old season where RC raced through and won big breeds, and then obviously went to New Zealand. So we're a fair way behind the 8 ball, but we're a little bit of a blip for a few starts. But he's certainly got the one thing that he has got that we really love having is really good gate speed, because it sets him up a lot of the time. You can lead, you can take a sit, you can do a number of things with him. So he's a nice horse to have an ownership piece in.
Yeah,
my oath, you'd be loving the ride.
The Reg Withers Classic as well, another great race, and the 7-11 Cup as well on the same night with some horses. A big shout out to Pogo. Raw for Roscoe was outstanding the other night. What a drive. And I get on great with Juanita, so I'll throw that hand up straight away. But I reckon that was an outstanding drive from a person that goes around maybe twice a week the other night. Well done to Juanita. Chris Elford in front on his Charlie's Angels, and Papa can dictate to a lot of people. Juanita wouldn't have a bar of it. She kept him honest the whole way and went down ahead. I think it was just an outstanding drive.
Well, you don't get as much practice if you're only going around once or twice a week, and I think for that reason you do have to give more credit, I think, to those drives, Paul. So absolutely does a fantastic job. Yep,
no, it was indeed. Gentlemen, thank you. I will say thank you, and thanks for joining us. Codes is going to come on, Daniel, one night. He'll actually step in as well. I just thought I'd better put my cheese cutter. Great marketing tool, this one here. Funny things you can do. You'll know Codes HRV are pretty careful with their brand awareness. This is actually a Regan Todd racing hat. And I think it was Tim O'Connor just got it smack bang. Reggie was so happy. He's having a huge run, Reggie, at the minute too, but he got it smack bang in the middle of a photo. And it was actually, it was a trial show. Code. So you might have been there at the time, but Toc went behind me and did the camera shot, and I got his text message from Reggie. That's the best hat I've ever given out, because here it was front and center in the.
I tell you, Paul, you do a magnificent job promoting with the hats, and it reminds me too, if he's watching, I know Alexandra Hurley is, but Hats Baker, Lenny Baker. He's a shout out to Lenny. Haven't seen Lenny for a while, but we call him. He loves a hat, Lenny. So hello to Lenny Baker.
I've got to do a cooking show one day. I might have to do a hat show too. Joe Pace. He's a pest. He's a serial pest. He hasn't been on tonight. I don't know where he is. He hasn't come out to have a bloody coffin nail, so I'm not sure what he's up to. But he's a serial pest. Every time you see him, have you got a hat for me? He'll just take it. He doesn't care. He just
literally. I've just got a text message from my old man asking. I swear to you, he sent it through. What did he send it through? About 15 minutes ago. Tell Paul still waiting for my hat.
I don't have a CC one. I've got to get on my. It's one of those things I've put on the back burner, but I will get to it. It'll be. We'll get to it one day, so it won't be a hassle. Guys, thank you. Really do appreciate you both giving up plenty of your time, coming on and having a bit of a chat. As I said, Codes, we'll get you on one night. We'll work out a topic so people can get involved. Nellie Melba, you better pass this one on to J-Bomb. Always enjoyed listening to J-Bomb. So Nellie owned 4 Lilies. Codes, if he needs any.
Great.
So Nellie Melba, or she goes by another alias too, and I can't think what it is at the minute. But anyway.
Sure.
But
I'll pass that on, Nellie. Bon will be absolutely thrilled.
And Alex Hurley, Bulletproof Boy, won't know himself from the pole, and that's probably a fair assessment. And he's always dangerous in those races, so doesn't matter anywhere where he draws, but barrier 1 will definitely help him. Rightio. Geez, that's nice, isn't it? That dead air. You know, that's always one of those things, isn't it? Isn't that one of those things you should never have? Isn't that right, Coach? Never have dead air or something like that.
No, there's nothing wrong with a bit of silence. People say awkward, Paul, but I don't think so.
Oh, I don't either. I'm used to it. At least I didn't have to push a button or anything like that. Right, guys. Thank you. You don't have to hang up. I'm just going to hit the end of the screen. But thank you to everyone that's tuned in. This has been On Loose Lines, where we just talk whatever. Don't forget the long run for prostate cancer. Go to the website. Go to trots.com. It's at the top there. I'm in trouble. Unite for Hope. Luckily, you had another website open up on the thing there with Granny. Get behind that and donate. You can take part in it as well. 10K run around Carlton Gardens on the October 6th. So if you can be there or walk, you don't have to run to be involved as well. And then the Harness Charity Challenge with the guys on Twitter. Steve Salter left a message on here. Contact him through that, and you'll be able to get involved, or myself or Cody, anyone. Daniel can help you out as well. Get involved. It is a lot of fun. I don't partake in it, and I'm never going to, because I don't have time, and all I hear from all you guys is how busy it is. So, but thank you very much. And gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me.
It's been an absolute blast. Thanks for having me on, guys.